Throughout my many years as a celebrity foodist, I've given myriad interviews and have noticed that certain questions just naturally resurface again and again. For instance, what's the one tool everyone should use in the kitchen? The brain. What ingredient is always in my refrigerator? Olives. What's your advice to people who want to start cooking? Start cooking. When I'm asked where they should start cooking, my answer is and always will be eggs, which is to say the shell-enclosed, single-serving, unfertilized reproductive packages of the female Gallus domesticus, that is the chicken. Eggs represent to me a vast universe of culinary possibilities. You know, it used to be said that the folds of the French toque represent each of the methods of cooking an egg. Wash of hog, of course, but point taken. Having answered the question about the egg, some interviewers go on, well, what egg dishes do you recommend? The souffle, the omelet? Nay. We begin with the hard-cooked egg. The luxuriously complex yet simple egg, when cooked properly in its own natural containment, itself a miracle of natural design, is a thing of sublimity, a perfect bite, or, well, 2 or 3, depending on the mouth, a binary system of marvelousness. Let's review the anatomy, shall we? All right, starting on the exterior, the shell is formed almost entirely of calcium carbonate, which serves as physical protection, also allows air and moisture to pass out through thousands of tiny pores. The shell also has a thin coating called the cuticle, which helps to prevent bacteria and dust and things from gaining entry. Now, between the eggshell and the albumen are the outer and inner shell membranes, which provide further defense against bacterial invasion and whatnot. They are quite strong, especially when the egg is fresh, which is why fresh eggs are so devilishly difficult to peel, right? But as the egg ages, it gives up CO2, which raises the pH in the albumen and changes the way that the membrane and the white adhere to one another, which is why timing is important when we're going to hard cook eggs. Now, as the egg cools after laying, an air space forms between the outer and inner membranes at the egg's bigger end, and it accounts for that kind of divot that you typically see at the end of a hard-cooked egg. The air cell grows larger as an egg ages. For me, this is not the place to start the peeling process. It can be troubling because the air interaction with the membranes can be tricky. All right, traveling inward. We've got the egg white, aka albumen, from the Latin albus, meaning white. 4 alternating layers of thick and thin albumen contain approximately 40 different proteins along with a considerable amount of water. Coaxing these proteins to coagulate and set into a pleasing gel is a big part of our goal here today. Now, here, of course, is the yolk. And extending from it, of course, are 2 twisted cords of dense egg white called the chalazae. These help keep the yolk suspended in the center of the structure. The fresher the egg, the more prominent these structures are. If we were making a custard, we'd probably want to strain these out, but we aren't, so we don't. Next, we have the vitelline membranes, which envelop the mysterious and highly desirable yolk, which contains fat, protein, vitamins, minerals, pigments, and lecithin, an effective emulsifier, which we would take advantage of if we were making mayonnaise, but we're not today. That's another show. The color of the yolk, by the way, ranges from a light yellow to deep orange, depending on the breed, but mostly on the feed of the bird. Now, the fact that the albumen and yolk set at different temperatures can bedevil us when we're, say, frying an egg. But in this case, the yolk is surrounded by the albumen and the shell, which just makes it perfect. The egg in its shell is literally the ultimate cooking vessel. I mean, that's really all it is to it. We're going to take advantage of that. Thank you very much. And now, let's contemplate some cookware. Hard cooking our eggs will require a very large pot indeed. Well, very large, about this size. Not because we're going to be boiling a tremendous amount of water. We are not. We're going to be boiling a miraculously small amount of water, about that much, in fact, because what we're really doing here is not boiling, we are steaming. And we'll get into that here in a bit. Now, to steam, of course, requires that we have a steamer basket of some type. I have always loved foldable steamer baskets. This was, in fact, the very first culinary tool to get me in trouble when I was about 4 years old. I was addicted to this TV show called Thunderbirds. You might remember it. And there were all these spaceships and special vehicles, and a lot of them had little satellite dishes. So I stole my mom's steamer basket and I tied it to the front of my tricycle. And that ended badly for both the basket and for me. Anyway, this is a nice one. It's got a few features you might want: little folding legs with silicone feet, so you can even use this in nonstick. And it's got this center pillar that goes up and down, which makes picking it up and extraction much easier without having to use a very, very, very tall pot. And notice it fits darn near perfect. That's exactly the kind of fit that we want to see. Now I'm going to go ahead and add water, and I only want enough to come about half an inch, or maybe a knuckle, up the side there. What you don't want is, you don't want it so deep that it comes up into the steamer. That would be boiling. We don't want to do that, do we? No, we do not. So I'm going to put this over high heat because there's absolutely no reason not to. But we need to turn our eyes now to our next station, which will be the cooling station. You're going to need a vessel, yay size. This is 6 liters. We're going to cool in this, which is incredibly important. The cooling, fast cooling, is as important as properly timed cooking. We're going to have ice in here, we're going to have water in here, and then we're going to add a secret ingredient. A $15 aquarium pump. You guys have seen me use these before. I'm a big believer in convection, especially when it comes to moving liquids around. I use these in coolers to thaw things, and I'm definitely going to use this here, because what it'll do is it will constantly move the cold water against the surface of the cooling eggs, which will make them cool down probably 10 times, I'm guessing, 10 times faster than if we just put them into an ice bath. All right, so the water is coming up to a boil. That's perfect. We've got our cooling. Well, we don't have all our cooling station, but we've got plenty of time for that. What we need now is some eggs. Let's talk about egg labeling, shall we? On most cartons, you'll see something about a grade B, or typically industrial. You won't find those. Grade A, good. And most of what you see in the marketplace, grade AA, are better. But the difference would only really matter if you were frying or poaching, not cooking in the shell. So just go with the grade A. Always do go with large, which by law must weigh 680 grams, 24 ounces per carton, which means the average weight would be 57 grams a piece. While in Georgia, I find it's closer to 62. And yeah, I know, because I weigh all my eggs. If the carton average goes over 64 per egg, I add a minute to the steaming time, so it's important, right? As far as other labeling goes, honestly, things like cage-free, happy, natural, these words just don't really mean anything, or they don't mean what you think. Certified organic, very, very strict definitions, but that's really mostly about the feed and the drugs that they've been treated with. If you're really concerned about the hen's quality of life, look for some kind of animal welfare or humane certification. What I look for the most is the Julian date, the 3-number code on the end of just about every carton that I've ever seen. It's a number between 1 and 365, or 366 in a leap year. It tells you what day of the year the eggs were packed on. For instance, or 75 would be around March 16, 274, October 1st, or in this case, 164, which is June 13th. Now, this is important because I prefer to hard cook eggs between 20 and 25 days of age because they're easier to peel. If they get much older than that, the air cells on the bottom tend to get big and funky looking and give you really kind of like strange deviled eggs and things. As for the use by date, if there is one, useless. Ignore them. Also, I always store eggs on their sides for 24 hours before hard cooking to center the yolks. Oh, last thing, despite the fact that many European countries do not refrigerate their eggs, we Americans really do need to, because you see, U.S. law requires eggs be pressure washed before coming to market, a process that removes that outer cuticle, protective melange of proteins, lipids, polysaccharides, wisely put there by nature. Why do Americans remove this? I think it's because we don't like the idea that the back of a chicken only has one hole. Okay. Another reason I cook my eggs directly from the fridge, reliability. I know my fridge is at or close to 38 degrees, so are my eggs, as long as they've been in there for a while. Attempting to bring them to room temperature, whatever the heck that is, would be to simply misplace and confuse the thermal starting line. So this is how I do it. Load up the basket, then lower into the already boiling water, lid up, and set your timer for 13 minutes. So I thought that since we've got, 13 minutes to wait, we might enjoy a nice cup of tea and chat about steam. Just about everything on this planet exists and functions because water can exist in 3 phases: solid, liquid, and vapor. We'll talk about the solid phase some other time, but right now, over in that kitchen, we're taking advantage of the fact that it's sea level. In a non-pressurized vessel, the liquid version of water cannot exceed 212 degrees Fahrenheit. Once it hits that temperature, any additional energy that we pump into it goes into enabling those water molecules to break away and become airborne as the vapor we call steam. Now, that is known as a phase change. And phase changes always absorb a lot of heat energy, and that energy travels with the steam as what's called latent heat, hidden heat, literally. And when that steam makes contact with our cold eggs, it condenses, turning back into a liquid, thus delivering that latent heat, just like it is on the inside of this beaker cup thingy. Now, this is a good thing, all right? Because the faster that we can coagulate the outer whites, the more of a chance we have of preventing the shell membrane and the albumin from sticking together. It's what we call a hot start. Now, you could do it in boiling water, of course, but there are a lot of variables there. And for a dozen eggs, it would take a lot of water because the cold eggs would immediately reduce the temperature of the water just by dropping into it. Steaming sidesteps this because the boiling water, just the pint or so we're using, it's not cooking the eggs. It's creating steam, and the steam is cooking the eggs. It's a tag team energy delivery system, and it's a far more efficient way of going. And keep in mind, boiling water is a violent place. You could, get cracked eggs and albumin washing everywhere, and it takes a lot less time and energy to bring a pint of water to a boil than a gallon. So despite what my mother taught me about hard-boiled eggs, the only thing I want hard-boiled are my detectives. Okay, you enjoy that. Okay. All right, time to load the chilling chamber, as it were. I'm pouring 3 quarts of cold water in. I actually refrigerate this overnight so that I know that it's really cold, and then I'm adding 2 pounds of ice. And I know that seems like a lot of ice, but we really do want this to be incredibly cold in order to shock down these eggs quickly. Yeah, I know I've got to wrangle my cord here. All right, good. That's fine. That'll do fine. It is time. There we go. We've still got steam, and what I want to do, and I always do this, is make a record of how much of an internal temperature that we got from cooking. There. Sorry. All right. So, ow, hot. I just do this to 1. Nobody will ever know what happened. A 174 degrees, 180, hit it 180, 181. Okay, that's fine. That's pretty much exactly what I want. But now the incredible important thing is that we have got to get these into the chill. So, yeah. These things are going to be cooled down very, very quickly. But my general rule is I cool them for as long as I cook them. So if we're talking about eggs with an average weight of 64 grams apiece, that's a 13-minute cook and hence a 13-minute cool. I'll be back. We are finished. So I'm just going to pull the plug on the faithful aquarium pump. Thank you. And now we peel, and peel quickly we must. And yes, you're gonna have to stick your hand down in there, and yes, it's very cold. It's kind of like just pretend you're in Titanic or something. A lot of people do this under running water. I do not. I do it in this water, and hopefully I'm not going to need that much of it. And I threw the peeled eggs right in there with the peel and everything and let it sort it out later. I believe that the tap is quite important. And this is the way I do it, always moving from the back to the front. Keep in mind, we really want to start peeling up here because the air cell, air bubble was here, and it can make things difficult. So here's how I do it. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And I'll pop on the top. Always dunk it in the water, and then start peeling away right from the top, if at all possible. That is where things are going to be the easiest. It's where it's easiest to get underneath the membrane. Now, what I'm going to try to do here is use my thumb to wipe the peel away. Just that simple. This is made possible by proper cooking, but most of all by chilling, okay? Because the chilling sets and firms the egg whites. So we've got a little bit of, we can put a little pressure into the peeling process. I'm curious, well, I've got one just out of the shell. I want to see where we ended up temperature-wise. Okay, these got down to 42 degrees in just the 12 minutes that we were chilling them. That's good, and that's important, but that's why we have to use this much water, and that's why we have to use this much ice. I know, 2 pounds seems like a lot of ice, but believe me, you don't want to do this without it. And again, we play our cards right. If it gets stubborn, just dip it down in the water. Once the water gets underneath the membrane, you'll find that everything peels very, very, very easily. Oh, yes, I got ice cream hand. Ah. All right, now let's decide what we're gonna do with these things. When it comes to storage, our chilled and peeled eggs can be stashed in the refrigerator here for, I'd say, 7 days. Make sure that you put them in airtight containment. You want moist, not really wet, moist paper towel above and below to help keep them nice and well, moist. Otherwise, they'll dry on the outside and get nasty. A good firm lid is, of course, highly required. There, okay. Oh, what am I doing? I want to eat those. Now that you've got these beauties on hand, you could just do what I usually do and sprinkle them with salt and eat them. But since few foods frame and highlight the sharp flavors and tame the sharp flavors of pepper more than egg, I think we should definitely devil these devils, don't you? So first, we're going to carefully split with a thin, sharp blade from end to end, thusly. Now, I leave them a little wet on the outside because I think it helps the blade kind of slip through. Oh, and you'll want a moist towel standing by to wipe your blade each time, because if it gets gummed up with yolk, you're going to have troubles maintaining, a clean presentation. Yeah, just kind of push the yolk out, just pop it out into a medium bowl. And you know what? If some sticks in the little divot there, don't fight with it much. You might tear the white, and you need that intact. Just leave it. It's all going to the same place. Now, as you split, I suggest you move the whites to a dedicated deviled egg plate or platter. But if you don't have one, you could easily buy one. It's good for Swedish meatballs too, so not a unitasker. Okay, once the eggs are all split and your whites are arranged thusly, we're going to mash the yolks with a fork. Believe me, it is the best tool for this job. Just bust them up. Make sure there are no hunks and chunks, because once we start adding things, it'll be harder to break those up. Okay, next up, green peppercorns. I know, they look like capers, but they are not capers. These are capers. These are pickled, immature Piper nigrum, actual peppercorns, okay, before they get dried and fermented and all that. These are the pickled buds of a Mediterranean evergreen. Look the same? Not the same. Certainly don't taste the same. Could you use capers in this recipe if you didn't have these? No! I want the brine separate. So whenever I work with these, I usually just dump the whole jar into a sieve, tap a few times to reclaim as much brine as possible, and then dose the yolks with 2 teaspoons of the brine. It's strong, trust me, it's enough. Then measure out 2 teaspoons of the peppercorns rounded and chop Now, unlike capers, these little boogers will roll off in every direction like BBs, so go slow and kind of keep them contained or they'll be all over the room. There, now, set those aside. Okay, so the brine is already in here, so we're gonna add 2 teaspoons of smooth Dijon, and 1/4 teaspoon of freshly ground white pepper, one of the egg's best friends, quite frankly. And then we're gonna work in 2 tablespoons, 28 grams of softened, unsalted butter. That is right, we are not gonna be using mayonnaise in our deviled eggs. I like mayo in other eggy applications, but not deviled eggs. And once that's worked in, you don't see it anymore, it's pretty well. We're gonna add 28 grams, yet again, of 2.5 tablespoons in this case, of light olive oil. Now, you could use avocado oil or plain vegetable oil, but nothing strong like extra virgin olive oil, please. And we're gonna really work this, turning the bowl until it's smooth and kind of fluffy. All right, finally, fold in those peppercorns. Now, we're gonna be piping this goodness in, so if you've got a dedicated pastry bag, please use it. I don't, so it's a small zip top for me. Just fold the bag over your hand, like that. Make it a lot easier to fill. Silicone spatula is the tool for the job. There, now one of the tricks to working with this kind of situation is you don't want to handle it a lot because this is technically speaking an emulsion and we really don't want it to get very hot. So kind of work everything down and get out some of the air, seal the bag. And then we are going to be piping. We want to err on the small side for cutting a hole in this for piping. Big is a lot, we can always make it bigger. So I'm only taking off, that was probably too much, but I'm going with it. And now we pipe. The trick here is to not fuss. I'm gonna do it right down on the, the plate because I don't want to take the chance of breaking anything. I start from one side and try to work very evenly and consistently. Don't rush. Try to get a little more in there than you think you're going to need simply because you don't want the sides to kind of buckle and show, but you also don't want to run out. Take some experience. Actually, that's a lie. No matter how many times I do this, I still mess it up. I got like a thimbleful left, so I'm just gonna look around and see if there's any place where I think I really went light. Right here. Or you could just suck this out of the bag. It's frowned upon. Now for the finishing touches. 2 more peppercorns. Remember, I really like the way that pepper flavor goes with eggs. But oddly, the next ones are pink peppercorns, which we will be scattering atop. But these are not actually peppercorns, at least not like pepper nigrum, which gives us the white and the green, and of course, black pepper. These are from Peruvian and Brazilian pepper trees. I think it's Chinus mole and Chinus terebinthifolius or something like that. These are actually kin to cashews and to mangoes. And by the way, they're considered an invasive species here in the United States. So eat more of this. I always keep mine in a crushed state. You're gonna need, I don't know, maybe, it takes what it takes. Just kind of strew those around. There we go. And I'm also going to give this a final little dash of, it's not a dash, that would be a liquid, a grinding or 2 of black peppercorns, because I really like, that's probably enough of that. I like the kind of bass note that black peppercorns bring to the party. And we should probably go with a little bit more salt, because why wouldn't I? I mean, there is salt, you remember, in the mixture, but eggs are almost like chronically undersalted in my world. So we're gonna make it rain. We're gonna make it rain. There. And that's kind of, I think that's kind of perfect. Oh, you don't like the mess. Okay, You don't, you want the plate to be, well, I'm not going to take those out and, we'll just, et voila. I think I'll try this one. And look, so perfect on the bottom. It's perfectly smooth. It's like picking up a little cold, wet baby bottom. That didn't come out right. It's just perfect. I know you guys don't like to hear me chew. But sometimes the hard-cooked eggs don't come out perfect. They don't. In fact, sometimes they just come out really, really, really ugly. Maybe you didn't control the temperature right. Maybe the eggs were too fresh. Maybe you didn't cool them right. But whatever happened, they peeled like this. Now, this, of course, never happens to me. I had to borrow these from a friend. But we're certainly not going to throw them out. They're delicious. We just need to find an application that doesn't enhance their Picasso looks. All we need to fix this, of course, is some mayonnaise and some Grey Poupon Dijon mustard and a few artfully chosen spices and a secret ingredient. Come with me. Come with me. As for the spices, let's see. We shall employ some onion powder, white onion powder, if you have the option. Also, white peppercorns, boys and girls. And then my secret flavor stash. Oh, yeah. That's right. MSG. Okay. We need to get some things straight about MSG, okay? Monosodium glutamate. It is not evil, nor nefarious, nor naughty, nor even, mildly recalcitrant, okay? All that BS got started back in 1968 when a research physician based in Maryland, name of Robert Ho Man Kwok, MD, sent a letter to the editor of the New England Journal of Medicine that got published. And in it, he recounted some symptoms that he experienced after consuming a meal of northern Chinese food in America. Numbness of the neck and arms, palpitations. Kwok made no accusations at all. He just said, hey, this is interesting. Somebody should look into it. The letter was published under the heading Chinese Restaurant Syndrome, and the press ran with it, creating such a fervor that even up through the 1980s, it was not uncommon for restaurants serving Asian food to post a sign saying no MSG. Eventually, a team of Australian researchers mounted a study and found, and I quote, Chinese restaurant syndrome is an antidote applied to a variety of postprandial, after-dinner illnesses. Rigorous, realistic scientific evidence linking the syndrome to MSG could not be found. Furthermore, the FDA today considers MSG to be GRAS, generally recognized as safe, like vitamin C, baking soda, pectin, in specified amounts. And that's why it is employed in a wide range of packaged foods in America, including many popular snack food, soups, bouillon, salad dressings, coatings, sauces. Many of us actually gobble up all of these foods while complaining about MSG at the same time. I see you're dubious. So let's just review some facts, shall we? Glutamic acid. Look at it. So it's an amino acid. These are amino acids. They commonly appear in long-chain molecules called proteins, okay? It's in there with the likes of lysine, phenylalanine, tryptophan, okay? Now, where it appears in this chain, where any of them appear actually, will determine what that particular protein is going to do. Yeah, we made them out of pool noodles. Look, we're on a budget here. Pay attention. Now, eggs contain glutamic acid, but most of it is bound in the protein matrix. So it's not available for us to actually taste, which is a shame because free glutamate activates umami receptors. Umami being what we read as savory, meaty, brothy. Back in the first decade of the 20th century, a Japanese chemist named Kunai Ikeda isolated glutamic acid from kombu, kelp, right? And he named the taste umami. Industry managed to isolate this by hydrolyzing, breaking up proteins to produce free glutamate, which could be used as a flavor enhancer. Later, it was found that glutamate could be produced via fermentation, via organisms such as Corynebacterium glutamicum, which can consume carbohydrates and give off glutamate. Nice. Once a smidgen of sodium is added, this can be crystallized and easily added to food. Therein, the sodium and the glutamate dissociate, and the glutamate is free to play with our taste buds, which is good because we can enhance the flavors of certain foods by adding just a tiny bit of MSG, and eggs absolutely are one of them, which is why I'm adding it to my egg salad. Do you have to? No. Should you? Yeah. Okay, good talk. Okay, take your ugly ass eggs and split them so that you can separate the yolks from the whites. And I usually just make a little pile of the yolks. You don't have to be super neat about this. This isn't like the deviled eggs. All right. Then get all the yolks into a medium mixing bowl and mash them well. Again, fork is the tool for this, just to really break them up. We're not trying to get them like super smooth. Then we're going to work in 100 grams, that's a third of a cup, plus a tablespoon of your favorite mayonnaise, Dukes. 10 grams, it's 2 teaspoons of the smooth Dijon mustard, teaspoon of kosher salt, half a teaspoon of the onion powder, and a quarter teaspoon of the white pepper. It does need to be freshly ground, so you could just eyeball this and grind it right into the bowl, but I tend to go overboard, so I measure. And then finally, the MSG. Now I'm using Accent, which is a very popular brand during my childhood. I'm bringing it back. And check this out. Okay, got my digital microscope here. Take a look at these crystals. Look at this. Because of the molecular structure of glutamate and sodium, they form these long rectangular crystals. Very unique. Pretty. Okay, just work this into the mixture and beat it smooth. And set aside. Time to dispatch the cooked whites. Now, I just like a chef's knife for this. If you like Japanese style, like super smooth egg salad, you could toss all of these whites into your stand mixer and just beat them for a few minutes and then work in the yolks. But I like some variance in my texture, if you know what I mean, a gradient. So I just go with a knife. Just work it across the board, regroup, scrape, work across the board. We're going to end up with some really, really tiny pieces and some pieces that are like 1/4 inch. It's a coarse chop. It's not quite rustic. It's not that sloppy. It's coarse. Okay, now we'll add the whites into the yolk mixture and fold thoroughly. You're going to be really tempted to devour this immediately, but it's going to take at least half an hour for the MSG to do its magic. An hour would be even better. So, patience rewarded, refrigerator, blah, blah, blah. And there we have it. 2 perfect expressions of the world's most perfectest food. Dare I say, cooked to perfection. As you can see, we've found the egg salad a perfect home between 2 slices of Japanese-style milk bread. Just like they serve at those 7-Elevens back in old Tokyo. I think I'm going to Godzilla one of these bad boys right now. So, see you next time on